Hey everyone, I am T-Rex, and today I want to talk about something in Star Wars that I feel is constantly overlooked, and that is Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This show has been constantly overlooked by Star Wars fans, and it's for a lot of reasons. The show is a cartoon, it is made for kids and looks completely for kids, and it doesn't look like a show for people that it would be dark enough for. Well, let me tell you that everything in there is not true. Now, this video is going to do a review of Star Wars: The Clone Wars TV show, and the video is going to end by me giving a guide on where I think is a good place to start watching Clone Wars at the end. Now, when it comes to the guide at the end, I have to say that there will be somewhat minor spoilers, not big ones, because I have a feeling that people do not want to give this show a chance, and I completely get it. I didn't want to give this show a chance, then I saw multiple YouTube videos on where to start watching this show and how to start watching the show, and I just fell in love. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, when it comes to the show's overarching narrative, it doesn't have one. That sounds odd, but that is because the stories are not told in order. There are story arcs in this show that happen for about 2 to 4 episodes until it contains story. Now, there are definitely storylines that affect future storylines and arcs. The Mandalorian arc combines into the Night Sister arc that leads to a much bigger arc. So there are definitely some arcs that you should watch before other arcs, but when you're choosing what episodes and arcs to watch, it's pretty open. This allows you to be able to pick and choose in the show what episodes you want to watch without feeling that you are missing huge beats in the story. Also, if you feel you do miss something, you can just go back and watch it because the arcs are not that long. It makes these feel quick and fun arcs and very fun to watch. Also, nothing feels better in the show when you see 2 arcs that end up colliding. It really makes you feel something that you're watching a big team up and this bigger universe coming together because the stories are so different in so many locations, so when they combine, it feels like the universe is really combining in on itself. Now, this type of storytelling is definitely not perfect, and there's a few reasons why. First off, people get lost when they're doing this, because when I tried to watch the show for the first time, I watched the first 2 seasons in order and just felt very confused and lost because I felt like I was missing a lot of things, and that was because I wasn't watching the arcs in the way they were meant to be shown. So starting the show is daunting because you need to look up lists and arcs that are good and what order to watch them. Luckily, I'm doing one of these at the end of the video so people will have a way to get into this show, but I had to look up where to watch the show, and I don't think it is accessible in that way for being a TV show. Also, Clone Wars fans don't like to admit this, but some of the arcs are just not up to par with other ones. I would say that at least 85% of the show is very good. I think most of the arcs are really fun, but an issue is that there are a lot of arcs in the first 2 seasons that are some clunkers. I'd say about 15% of this show arcs are not that good, and I would love to say that after season 1 and 2 they go away. They definitely reduce in the amount of bad arcs, but even in the last season of the show, there are 3 arcs. 1 is good, 1 is my favorite arc in the show, and the other arc is actually pretty bad. There's a problem with the consistency in this show, being that they are not able to completely be able to have every arc feel important and fun. But in that other 85%, this show is so good. Trust me, this show is some of the best Star Wars you will ever see at times. Now, that is because of how different these stories are and how big and interesting they are, and they can be so different from everything else you've seen in Star Wars. But as I said, when the arcs are bad, they can be pretty bad, and some arcs aren't that bad, but will be boring and tedious. I think that the show could have been a lot better if they had said in the first 5 seasons, hey, we usually do 20 episodes, but if 5 of these aren't up to par to our standards, let's just cut that, make this a 15 episode season with no filler. I think that really could have helped the show from those arcs that you never want to revisit. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the characters. I know instantly when you hear Clone Wars you want to leave because people do not love the prequels. Honestly, I don't love them either, but I am confident in saying right now that this is my favorite thing in the prequels, and that is because of the way they do the characters. The prequels are also such a different era of Star Wars that it feels like these stories can only be told during this period, and I think the show understands that it is the only thing that was really holding people back from loving this era was usually the characters. No one wants to explore an interesting world if the main character is annoying. Now, let me say about the main character, well, it depends. There's a lot of characters, but I'd say the main character in this show is probably Anakin Skywalker, and I think they do him right in this show. He's fun, and he's not annoying. He feels charismatic, and actually feels like a friend to Obi-Wan. Also, like, he isn't insane. He feels like an actual Jedi who likes being a Jedi and not a Jedi always on the edge of darkness. He definitely feels like someone who does sometimes struggle with the dark side, but overall he's not always going freaking crazy on people. He actually does feel like someone who likes being a Jedi. Of course, with Anakin Skywalker, you have Obi-Wan Kenobi. Everyone likes Obi-Wan, and he is great in this show as well. He's obviously more experienced than Anakin, but when stuff needs to get done, Obi-Wan is so quick to hop into action, and Obi-Wan also gets some of the best plots when it comes to this show. Now, there is a new character that shows up in this show that you've probably heard of, which is Ahsoka Tano. Now, this character starts off feeling like a little plucky little kid when she starts, and her character arc is so interesting where we find her at the end of the show. It really goes to show how well they were at developing their characters. Also, there is a newer character that kind of comes back. This is a bit of a minor spoiler, but I love it so much. You probably heard about it. If you saw Solo, you already know this. Darth Maul comes back in this show, and he might be one of the best parts of the show, even maybe the best part. You might think it is dumb that he is revived, and some of the other character revivals in the later sequel films I know were not done right, and I didn't like them, but he is so good, and is the perfect way to do a character revival right. Darth Maul was such a cool character in The Phantom Menace, and we feel like when we met him, he literally just left us. Now, luckily, we get to have him come back in this, and his rivalry with Obi-Wan is so freaking good. Whenever they have their grudge match fights with their lightsabers, there's so much emotion behind them. Darth Maul is the perfect foil in the show to Obi-Wan, and that's because whenever they come to blows, every strike they're doing at each other, you can tell so that they can drop the other one. The show is so good at getting you to care about these characters, and you feel this emotion when the two of them are fighting because of that pure anger. And Maul really drives Obi-Wan in this show to his edge, which you don't really see that much, so it's so cool to have Darth Maul in this show as a really great villain. I'll say on a whole, the tone for this show is actually pretty dark, even though it is a kid's show. Now, I'm not saying that the show is not meant for kids, because it clearly is marketed towards them, but I am saying that because people are nervous that this will be a very cutesy, happy, fun time show, and it is not. People die brutal deaths, so if you're nervous that this show will be too kiddie for you, don't. It's perfectly able to perfectly walk that line between a show that is meant for kids to enjoy and also being good enough that adults can also enjoy it, and anyone in between can also love this show. When it comes to this show, I think they do such a good job at making your characters interesting, giving us some of the best arcs in Star Wars, also being able to give us these great characters to come back, great action, and it feels like a show that is constantly raising the stakes. On a whole, when I'm going to score this show, I wanted to say that this show has some of the highest highs you will ever see in Star Wars, but it does hit some pretty low lows. I mean, Jar Jar's in some of the episodes, but luckily those episodes are so bad that and pretty far between that you can just skip them, but they are there, and that does drag down my score for this show, because I wish they just weren't there at all. Overall, I'm going to say that Star Wars The Clone Wars is a great show. I think that it hits some of the highest highs you can see, and the only thing dragging it down is a few of those doo-doo episodes. I think it could be an awesome show if they would have been able to cut out those episodes. Now, that's my ranking on it, but now it is recommendation time on where to start with Star Wars The Clone Wars. So buckle in, because I'm going to list off some of my recommendations. Now remember, these are not in-depth picks on what is the perfect way to watch this show. There's a channel called Hello Greedo that has a very good list on where to watch Clone Wars. That's what got me started and gives you my best shot, but I'm going to tell you what I think is a good place to start. Remember, take my opinion with a grain of salt, but if you want to get into it, I think this might be a good list for getting you started with specific characters and specific arcs if you care about that. Now, the first arc I'm going to suggest is by far not the best one, so if you don't like this arc, I really suggest that you keep going, but I think it is a good way to introduce people to the main characters like Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and even other Jedis like Plo Koon and villains like Grievous and Count Dooku. These are episodes from Season 1, Episode 2, 3, and Episode 4. This is the Malevolence arc. I think this is a good place to learn what characters you like and see what sort of the tone is for this. Remember, these are not the best episodes. I'm just trying to get you a good starting place for starting with this show. Now, if you want to hop straight into one of the best arcs in my opinion, you should start here. It is a Clone Trooper arc. Now, the thing about this is that it does hop around a few seasons. So the first episode in this arc is Season 3, Episode 1. Then you can go into Season 1, Episode 5. And then into Season 3, Episode 2. I know it's a bit confusing, but this is the Domino Squad arc. And this arc is very important later on because these characters carry over into many other arcs. So I highly recommend you watch this, not only because it is a fantastic arc with great characters that you'll enjoy, but because it has great emotional value later in the show. If you like those episodes, I can also recommend you this episode. It contains Commander Cody and Captain Rex, who were in Season 1, Episode 5, in that last arc I recommended. Now, this is a really fun episode. It's called Hidden Enemy. It is Season 1, Episode 16, with Commander Cody and Captain Rex finding an infiltrator in the clone trooper ranks. And I think it's a really fun adventure with these clones. If you want to check that out, there it is. Let's say you really like General Grievous or Ahsoka from the first arc that I recommended. Then I recommend Season 1, Episode 9 and Episode 10. Episode 9 is a fantastic Ahsoka episode and introduces you to a new character named Asajj Ventress. And I think that Season 1, Episode 10 is a fantastic Grievous episode where it's horror type. Also, Kit Fisto's in it if you like him. And I think it's great for seeing how Grievous is evil and checking out how Grievous acts when he's by himself. It really is a good episode. I also think the Ahsoka episode is great, so check it out. If you want to see some all-out war battles, I have two big arcs that I recommend. The Battle of Ryloth arc, and the second arc I recommend is the Battle of Geonosis arc. Well, second Battle of Geonosis. But the first arc I actually do prefer because it feels much better and also is one of those few episodes that we get to see Mace Windu in combat. Also, there are a bunch of clone troopers in here that you'll like. So this is Season 1, Episodes 19, 20, and 21. There's another episode where it talks about how they get the supplies to Ryloth, and that is Season 3, Episode 3 if you want to check it out, but it has Jar Jar, so I would stay clear of that. You don't need it for the other 3 episodes that are great. I say you start there. Now, the second Battle of Geonosis arc is a much weirder arc and has horror-like attributes in it in some places, and I will say that this episode works a bit better if you've seen a bit of Ahsoka and Anakin's relationship. This also furthers that relationship, but I would recommend that you watch that Ahsoka episode first. I recommend it, but you don't need to. This is Season 2, Episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8, so it's a bit of a more beefy arc, and this arc you should really watch because there are things here that set up huge crucial things for arcs in the future, so I highly recommend the second Battle of Geonosis arc. Please watch it. Now, if you want to see a new bounty hunter in this show, there is this bounty hunter arc that I can recommend. It starts off in Season 1, Episode 22, then Season 2, Episode 1, 2, and 3. It introduces a new bounty hunter named Cad Bane, and he shows up more in the series, so I think it's a good place to start if you want to see his character start off. When it comes to Mandalorians, if you want to see Mandalorians, I have an arc for you, along with an awesome Obi-Wan arc. It's in the same arc, so if you want to see Obi-Wan meet Mandalorians, here's the arc for you. It is Season 2, Episodes 12, 13, and 14. And it also has some very good development for Obi-Wan's character that will come in the future, so I highly recommend you watch this arc. It is crucial for setting up future events in the Clone Wars series. Now, these 2 episodes aren't crucial, but they're 2 Godzilla-like episodes, so if that sounds fun, I personally liked them. They're Season 2, Episode 18 and 19. There's another Mandalorian arc that you can watch. It's a little bit more political, and it just develops this other character, but it does have Ahsoka, so it doesn't have Obi-Wan, but it has... Well, if I can remember correctly, I don't think it has Obi-Wan, but it's Season 3, Episodes 5 and 6. They have Ahsoka, so I guess it's fun if you want to watch. Now, there's a really interesting mystical arc that sounds bad for Star Wars, but trust me, it is amazing. It is the Mortis arc. That arc is a lot weirder and much more mystical, but you're going to have a blast with it. It is Season 3, Episodes 15, 16, and 17. It has a lot of great Anakin development, so if you like Anakin, want to see him tempted to the dark side a bit, I highly recommend you watch this arc. Now, another one of my favorite arcs is the Citadel arc, but trust me when I say this, you are definitely going to watch that Clone Trooper arc, Domino Squad, before you watch this. Trust me on that. But these are rescue episodes where they're rescuing a Jedi. They're very good, Season 3, Episode 18, 19, and 20, but I beg you to watch the Domino Squad arc before you watch this. But when you do watch this, have a blast. It is awesome. Now, if you just want to watch Darth Maul, see how he gets set up in this show, it is a bit longer because there's a lot of setup, but here you go. I'm going to tell you the whole thing. Season 3, Episode 12, 13, and 14, that will set up the Night Sister and Savage Opress. Then Season 4, Episode 21 and 22, that's where we see Darth Maul and him coming back. Then Season 5, Episode 1. It is so good at setting up Savage Opress and Darth Maul. It is so good. Obi-Wan's in it. Have a blast. Some of the best stuff in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Now, this other arc I'm going to recommend is a fan favorite. It is a Clone Trooper arc that is in Season 4, Episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10. I know it sounds a lot longer, but it has a very good twist in the middle, and I think you should like it. Now, these are my starting points on where you can watch. A few of them involve spoilers from the other one, but I thought these are pretty good places to start watching Star Wars The Clone Wars. If you want to check out the show, it is all on Disney+. If you watch my Mandalorian review, I talked about how it is worth a Disney Plus subscription. Well, this show is also on Disney Plus, so go check it out if you have one. Also, all of these other arcs that I would have told you about, I feel would end up spoiling something really big from the past arcs. But these are some of the best arcs from season 1 through 4, and the last 3 seasons are still great. Check them out and go watch them. There are full lists online. This was just my personal list on where you can start that I came up off of the top of my head. I really suggest that you go watch the show in the way that Hello Greedo did, because I think that was a good way to get into the show. I think there were a lot of episodes that really taught me how to get in the show. Anyway, I think that was a great way to watch this show. And after these episodes that I recommended, have a blast. Keep watching. Just watch all of the episodes that are recommended. Anyway, if you liked the review and or you liked my list, leave a like on this video, or dislike if you want to. If you do dislike, please leave a criticism comment. That way I can improve on this channel. Also, if you like what I am doing here, subscribe. Also, I would love for you guys to comment. Would you like me to do another recommendation list for something else? If you like those recommendations, maybe I can start doing recommendation videos. I don't know. But if you liked them, I had fun doing it. I liked being able to recommend things to you. So if you guys want me to do that, comment below. Also, next time on the IamT-Rex channel, I think I will be doing a movie review of Wonder Woman that came out in 2017, do a retrospective review on it after Wonder Woman 1984, so I can go back and think have my opinions changed on the film. Anyways, I'll see you then. Bye.